Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for this evening's transfer show. Thank you very much for tuning in with me, Paul. We've got Stato and we've got Billy tonight. Sam is unfortunately working late. She may join us later on if she gets the opportunity, but she's been called to an emergency at work. So it is the three of us to go on with the show tonight. Lots to come up on the Toon review this week. We've got England-Belgium tomorrow with Stato and Billy. We've got How Are the Lasses with me and Sam on Wednesday. Then we've got the preview for the West Ham game. Back in action in the Premier League. And then, of course, Match Day Live on Saturday. So lots to go this week. So if you aren't subscribed, how dare you? Get yourself subscribed to the Toon Review. Free to do so. But don't forget to hit that notification bell, which will, of course, let you know if we upload any videos or we schedule our lives. You can also become a member of the Toon Review by hitting that join button just underneath us. And of course, as usual, you can donate to the channel if you are kind enough to do so by hitting that $ which is underneath the live comments. And that will guarantee your comment to be read out as well. But don't forget also to hit that like button, guys. Very, very important to the channel that we keep those likes coming in. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening to everybody.
Hello.
It seems an age, guys, since we've been on talking about Newcastle United, because, of course, we've had the international break and, you know, it did the women's game on Saturday afternoon, and then you gentlemen did the England game on the night time. So it was a very good day of football on the Toon Review. Sadly, none of the results went our way, unfortunately. The Lasses just didn't seem to turn up on Saturday afternoon. Didn't get their game going, but me and Sam will discuss that on
I blame Southgate for both losses, so it's fine.
You blame Southgate for the Lasses losing as well? Okay, well, listen, why not? Why not just blame him for everything? I don't disagree with you, Alex, actually. But on Saturday night, obviously, it was great to see Anthony Gordon in an England shirt. And Billy, you think he's going to start tomorrow as well?
Yeah, he kind of insinuated in an interview today that that he was going to have a role to play tomorrow. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that, and he deserves it because he played really well on Saturday.
He was excellent. Yeah,
when his replacement came on, he was absolutely dreadful. So there's no way on God's earth that Mr. Rashford deserves to start.
Well, that's going to be the question for the Euros, isn't it? I mean, Gordon, for me, as soon as Gordon came off, our attacking threat died completely. Again, Rashford hanging onto the ball too long and trying to do it all himself, thinking he's way better than everybody else. And listen, I think Gordon's a level above Rashford now, without a shadow of a doubt. I think he's got to be higher in the pecking order. Rashford, if Southgate does pick him, which I have a feeling he will anyway, but you know, we are talking sense here, whereas Gareth Southgate doesn't. He just goes with his favourite names, of course. So I thought the link up, as Michael's just said there, Gordon linked up so well with Bellingham. I thought it was excellent to watch.
And that he had a centre forward in the middle of the goal to kind of do something. Watkins was dreadful as well.
Yeah,
but I equated it really after thinking about it afterwards. Was a bit like when England played Croatia in the semi-final of 2018 when he took Raheem Sterling off, who they were shit scared of, brought Rashford on, and then suddenly he looked like he was running in treacle. And it was the same Saturday. They were scared of Gordon. He was creating stuff. And as soon as he went off, England went to pot.
Yeah, and I do have to agree with you guys as well, by the way. I thought Chilwell was magnificent. Holy shit. If he's the future of left-backs for England, we are in deep crap, but there you go.
I don't normally lose composure, but I lost my composure over his performance.
Yes, I know. I was
25 minutes in. I couldn't tolerate that anymore from a professional footballer. You wouldn't see it in League Two.
No, it was rotten from Chilwell, but hey, let's see what happens, shall we? But it's all about Newcastle tonight, guys, and of course we are back. Looking forward to the West Ham game, of course, but we do have another England match day live tomorrow with Alex and Billy. I think, what time is it? At 7:15, I believe that starts with the 7:30 kickoff. So if you want to suffer again and have some Belton commentary from Billy and Alex and real truth of how bad some of the England players are, then obviously just tune in. But we have some players for you tonight that have obviously been linked in the media with Newcastle United as per usual. And we'll have a look at the end at, a director of football that I don't think anybody's really excited about that has been possibly mentioned, but we'll see that at the end of the show. But I mean, guys, you know, West Ham coming up at the weekend. It's a very big game. It's going to be interesting to see. You know, Jared Bourne is one player that scares the crap out of me. He is a very good player, and it could do a lot for West Ham. So this isn't going to be another one of those games, Alex, where we sit there and think, oh, we should win this game, because we don't have any right to say that right now, do we?
No, I mean, they've got quality. So if Paqueta decides to turn up and not play like he did against England, obviously he plays in a slightly different role for Brazil that gets more out of him, but Kudus as well is terrifying, as is Bowen in form.
Well, Kudus is, I think he's doubtful, Alex Kudus.
Is he doubtful, is he? Okay,
yeah.
Well, that's good for us, because, you know, they've got some good players that can hurt us. I'm not sure Alvarez is available either, but they've got some quality. And fine, if we're all fully fit and firing, I think we would destroy them. But we're not that machine at the moment. We've got some players out where, you know, we're lacking confidence. The tactics aren't quite hitting the same way. And it's a tricky one. Even when we're on our day, I feel like this is kind of similar to that Aston Villa game, where if we can turn up, we should definitely be able to win. But West Ham obviously being a step down from Villa's quality, I think. But they've got 3 or 4 very good quality players that could be playing in European. Well, they are playing in European competitions. They deserve to be. They've got those sorts of caliber of players. So, yeah, we'll just be relying on probably just hitting the target a bit, because our chance creation is generally okay. It's much more of the same, being clinical from sort of set pieces. Miggy, strikers, Isak, maybe it's not gone really well for him the last couple of games. Things that he's trying to sort of guide into the net haven't worked, so hopefully we can sort that out.
I mean, you guys will have seen what I think Tom put in the WhatsApp chat earlier on today. Those whatever they were, of Premier League footballers. I meant to get a photo of the Isak one. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Russian dolls painted as footballers. It was bizarre.
I mean, look, I actually thought it looked like Les Ferdinand. And then loads of guesses came in our group chat of Callum Wilson, etc. I was astounded when I think it was Rachel said Isak, and it was right. I thought, what the hell? It just looked nothing like him. But you know, it
looked like George Floyd, if I'm honest.
Oh, Billy,
it did. It looked like George Floyd.
Well, maybe. I mean, well,
I don't think any of them looked like any of the people they were.
Yeah, it didn't look anything like any Newcastle United player. Absolutely not. But by the way, guys, just to let you know, I had a brainwave yesterday. I'm going to put together a little sort of video myself. It's going to be titled "What Has Happened to Northeast Football," and I haven't started filming it yet. I'm actually going to visit some of the grounds around the Northeast and put it all together as a big video about what's happened to Northeast football and where the clubs are now and where we see Northeast football going. So I haven't started filming that. It will be quite a long video, obviously. I'll be visiting sort of St. James's and then the Stadium of Light and the Riverside down in Middlesbrough and then some of the non-league grounds as well. So it's going to be a very interesting video that I'm going to put together because Northeast football is kind of fallen away. If you look at certainly the smaller clubs like Hartlepool were once a league side disappearing, you know, the struggling in the National League. You got Darlington, who, well, their fall from grace was unbelievable. And then, of course, Sunderland stuck in the lower leagues for a long time. Middlesbrough as well, once in Europe and stuff, and they've dwindled into sort of stuck in the Championship. And so I thought about putting a video together thinking, yeah, it'd be quite interesting to go and visit the grounds and film from outside the grounds and just talk about what's happened to Northeast football. And, you know, I think it'll be a good one. But that's going to be my first real major sort of video that I'm going to edit and put together for, you know, normally I do like obviously the daily news and stuff, which is quite a simple thing to do. But this is going to be sort of filmed on separate days and then all put together, which is going to test my editing abilities in the weeks to come. But new laptop comes tomorrow, which will handle all of that. And I'm really looking forward to it, talking about all the Northeast teams, because, guys, there has been a drop, hasn't there, for Northeast football. You know, the fans are so passionate, but clubs have dwindled away, haven't they? They're struggling to get back to where they once were. And there's various different reasons for that as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from experience of Bishop Auckland, of course, and
yes,
when the tragic air disaster happened to Manchester United loaned a lot of Bishop Auckland players to get them through the end of the season. When I went to Bishop Auckland last, which would have been 10, 15 years ago, my cousin took me into the clubhouse, which is still there, and I said, "Can I see the pitch?" He went, "Yeah, have a look out here." So I opened the door up where there would have been the pitch. It's now a housing estate. So they've had to move grounds, and now it's playing them at smaller scale. And it's like that for a lot of clubs in the Northeast, unfortunately. It's the hotbed of football, but unfortunately, financial restraints and things like that have kind of cost. Bad chairman, like we saw at Darlington with George Reynolds. And it's kind of...
Well, I used to go watch Darlington a lot, Billy, when George Reynolds was there. I used to go to the old ground and stand behind the goal opposite the tin shed end. And things like that. It used to be a brilliant atmosphere. I went to Wembley when they played Peterborough in the playoff final, and unfortunately didn't win. But back then, Northeast football was thriving. Sunderland. I know they're our rivals, etc. But they were doing well in the Premier League. Especially when they had the likes of Quinn and Phillips, and then you've got Middlesbrough with the Ravanelli and the Janino days, and then But I think at the minute the most exciting team probably in the Northeast at the minute is South Shields, believe it or not. They're on the up. Gateshead are slowly turning things around again now. Gateshead must have a massive aim to get back. Obviously, I won't be able to get to every Northeast ground. That's impossible. But I'm going to try and do as many as I can, put it all together as a video. And it'll probably be a premiere where we have a night off, and I'll put it up as a premiere for people, because it's probably going to be an hour to an hour and a half at least. So it'll be just like a live show, but obviously the three of us won't be on. It'll just be a premiere video playing, but we'll be in the chat. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really looking forward to filming that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into tonight, Alex. And who is the first one we have? It is Rayan Cherki.
Yeah, I got bored of reviewing centre halves, guys. So we will review some centre halves today. But yeah, I wanted to look at this guy again because he got linked at the start of the month from Fichajes, which gives us a free pass to review him again. And I think this time round, it's a little bit more feasible. It's possible. So Leon had a bit of a fall from grace, struggled this year despite recruiting well with Tolisso and they got Matic in their team. They tried to build a bit of an odd balanced team. It was okay, I guess. And it's not quite worked, and they were bottom of the league for large portions of the start of the season. There were loads of podcasts all over and videos all over the internet about Leon struggling. They're all right now. They've steadied the ship. They're sort of mid-table, and this is the jewel in their crown. This is the guy. I mean, this just tells you all you need to know. I've said this before for long-time viewers of the Toon Review. When the websites say footed both, means you're a good footballer. That's just an easy thing to just look at straight away. So who is he? He is a young Frenchman. I think he's Algerian. I'll have to fact check that. I can't remember before I offend people. So he's still young. He's still only 20 years old. He's crazy, crazy young still, from Poussignon in France. He's only going to have, at the end of this year, 1 year left on his contract, which has got me rubbing hands together because, yeah, that means he's more gettable. His wages are fine. Obviously, he's going to need a bit of a bump if he moves on. But unless they can sort out a contract extension, I could see him taking another step up. He's dropped some really tidy performances recently, and again, in a team that struggled, but they've started winning a lot more recently, Leon have. So far this season, he's on 4 assists, 1 goal. Again, he should have had more. He's on 2.8 XG, so he's been a little bit unlucky there. He should have had arguably 3 goals, 4 assists, so should be on 7 goal contributions for the season from just over 1,300 minutes, 25 appearances. So still super young. He doesn't play every game. He doesn't start every game. However, if we scroll down and have a look, this is his data. So this is very much a bums off seats guy. Successful take on rate is what you want to look at. Nearly 4 times per 90, he gets past his men. He plays right wing, left wing, attacking midfield, just behind the striker. He's a young, I say high technical ability. No, I'd say elite technical ability. The technique on this kid, it doesn't mean he's an elite footballer totally, but if we're just going to pinpoint his technical ability, that is 100% elite. He's at the top in terms of technique. Any trick you can think of, he can do it. He can get past a defender, a midfielder. He's just very good at progressing the ball. He's very creative. As he's playing a lot more football, he's really good at pinging a pass as well. Progressive passes are really, really high. A lot of through balls. He actually played, was it yesterday? He came on in the under-21s game against the Ivory Coast. Delightful little through ball onto the striker, and they scored. And that was coming on as a sub, as a number 13 for France under-21s. So he's playing at the U21s level, and he's played all the way through the setup. And as you can see, it's just this bit: progressive passes, progressive carries, successful take-ons. He just gets the ball up the pitch. He's so good at it. He's very, very careful with the ball as well for an elite attacker. Shot creating actions is close to 5 per game. So other people are getting 5 shots a match as a result of what he's doing for them and creating. He's trying to fire off 2.5 shots per 90 as well, 2.66. Obviously, it's a little bit lower defensive contribution wise, but a lot of the time he comes in to try and knit play together. But if you've watched any of him this year, he's learned a lot. He's improved physically. He doesn't get shrugged off the ball quite as much. He's good under pressure as well, retaining the ball, riding that first challenge, wriggling out and then finding a pass or just bursting into space. He's really, really good at that. I've actually got his little graphic here, and we're going to be mean and we're going to put Miggy against it because fine.
Oh, dear God. Oh, yeah. Bless him.
So because it's funny, we're going to put Miggy against him. And obviously there is a stark difference there. So Miggy is a tiny bit careful with the ball in terms of his pass completion rate, and considerably better in defensive areas. But that we know Miggy's got great output defensively. We're aware of that.
Cherki's not a defensive player. You wouldn't want him defending that.
He's a little bit more of a defensive player, and I appreciate that we have taken somewhat of a move away from this type of player. You know, with recruiting a Harvey Barnes and an Anthony Gordon, you know, we've not been looking at this kind of profile, and I really do think it's somebody we're missing. I don't think there's anything wrong with having somebody like this in the squad. Of course, you can't have too many players like this because he is a little bit more of a luxury player. Despite the fact I do think he's improved a lot in that regard, his physicality and his ball retention, you know, he manages to find his way out of pressure, so he's improved. But as you can see, what he's good at, it's night and day different compared to Miggy. In terms of the offensive output and the progression is just outrageous. See, yeah, Fox is saying, yeah, well, we're not talking about that. Cherki off the bench is an impact player. Yes, he's been coming off the bench as a sub. However, you've still got to remember he's 20 years old. He doesn't play all the time, and he is elite in terms of his attacking output on the ball and what he can do creatively.
Well, what I would say to that, Alex, is can you imagine Cherki playing just behind Šeško?
That would be disgusting. That would be disgusting.
Just before you go on, mate, I've just had a super chat a couple of minutes ago from Toon and Brown 89. Thank you very much for your super chat. You get to watch the team I've supported for 20 years for the first time when they come to Melbourne. To say people are excited is an understatement. Yeah, it's creating a bit of excitement in down under. So well done and enjoy it. Sorry, Alex.
I mean, you can see the stat matches here, who he's profiling similarly to. In Dembele, you've got Wirtz, Florian Wirtz is on that list. Jeremy Doku, Leroy Sané, Kvaratskhelia is on the list. Paulo Dybala. So, yes, all of the good people. Career to date is lots of Leon. All of the Leon. So, yeah, he's still learning. You've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. For people that have written him off because Leon struggled, he's 20. He's still only 20 years old. He's a baby. So, but he's still got a good amount of experience for his age. He's come up through the youth levels with Leon. And then in terms of recent matches, so this is his sofa score. He doesn't look very happy. This was probably taken at the start of the season when they were in last place. So officially, according to sofa score, left wing attacking midfielder, but he's pretty flexible anywhere, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
And if we scroll down and have a look at his recent statistics, so Leon have a massive uptick in form. It's kind of tricky to rate him because a lot of these were substitution appearances. However, in terms of the uptick from Leon, you've got a 3-2 win against Toulouse, a 2-0 win against Lorient. They lost against Lens. a draw against Strasbourg in the cup. They beat Metz, they beat Nice, they beat Montpellier, they beat Lille. So this has fixed their season. Basically, February onwards has fixed their season because they were buggered. So they've managed to sort it out, and they've got a lot of points on the board recently, which has really, really helped. But this is most recent game. So this was on the 15th. So 10 days ago? He comes off the bench. He doesn't start this game and drops a 9.2. So he gets a goal and an assist. So he actually came on. So this is their team. You'll probably recognise a lot of players. You've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles there, Lacazette up front, Maxence Kakare next to Matic and Tolisso. So a lot of people that you'll know. Jake O'Brien, of course, it was in the news because it's just funny that there's an Irishman playing for Lyon. And if we scroll down,
Alex.
Yes.
Are you going to insult the Irish tonight? I mean, I know you're getting like me, and various countries are now going to be putting requests in to have you shot.
Oh no, I'm going to say the same because we're reviewing somebody from Sporting later, and Marcus Edwards is English and plays for Sporting.
Awesome.
So here's his heat map.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous data, by the way. So what minute did he come on? He played 24 minutes. This is outrageous, by the way. He played 24 minutes. He completed 8 dribbles.
Wow.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
That's absolutely unheard of. It's unheard of. People don't do that. If this was 90 minutes, this would be incredible. This is 24 minutes plus added time. That is stupid. That is beyond logical. 9 ground duels won, 8 successful dribbles, and he scored, and he got an assist, and he got a cross in, and a long ball, and a couple of key passes. This is one of those guys where if they decide they're going to have a good day, you can't do anything about it. When this guy turns up, he turns up.
It's one of them where you look at it and think, I'm going to give a message to the manager right now when I come on this football pitch, and I'm going to prove why I should be in the starting 11.
It's a good point to make because, I mean, surely you'd be thinking, why the hell is Ainsley Maitland-Niles starting ahead of me?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, they tried to bring a lot more basic and structure, back to this team. They needed points. So this was him on the 7th in the Coupe de France against Lille, so a good team to play. So they went with a 4-1-4-1 with him on the far right. Of course, obviously, Leon picked up Gift Orban. For people who don't know Gift Orban, he is a child who basically got bought, and his story is incredible. But that's a video for another day. Rayan Cherki on the right-hand side. So spent a lot of time in his own half, so maybe doing a bit more defensively. Played just over an hour, 2 key passes, big chance created. He got a shot on target and he scored. 2 completed dribbles. Yeah, so you can see what this guy's about. He's playing generally. He'll come on as a creator. He seems to be able to play left and right. I like him when he's sort of attacking midfielder. You give him a bit more of the ball, but you've got to make sure that there's a decent support system around him. You can't expect him to do wing defensive work and constantly bail out his fullback all day because he's not that guy. He's learning, but he's not that guy. In terms of his transfer mark, we've actually lost his transfer mark, which is annoying. So we're going to steal Andreas Schelderup. Sorry, Schelderup, you're disappearing because Cherki needs a transfer mark page.
That looked like a 2-year-old child.
He's at Benfica. He's out on loan. So his transfer marks, as you can see, 20 caps for the U21s at France with 11 goals. They're saying attacking midfield, as they say as well, all across the front three. Again, his market value is not too shabby on the websites. Of course, the websites are nonsense, but I don't think this is too far removed from the truth. Again, he's going to have a year left on his contract. They might, again, they're not in great shape financially. They might take a decent bid for him. It's a funny one, but I would absolutely love this. I'd love it. Absolutely love this as a signing. I think it'd be incredible.
I think he's absolutely outstanding. Billy, I know you're a fan of him, aren't you?
Yeah, I would say I watched him quite a lot in the Under-21 Championship last year, and he was their best player by a country mile. Obviously, there's Algerian citizenship there, for stats I said earlier. What's his agent, Alex? Has he got one? He doesn't seem to have an agent, does he?
It doesn't say it on there. I mean, his outfitter is Adidas. I mean, that can't hurt.
That as well, yeah.
Well, he hasn't played for the full international side yet, so he's got a choice, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I guess it's hard to get in the French side, isn't it? I mean, they are
an
elite side.
Yeah.
But he's good enough to do it, no doubt about it.
But I think it's harsh to put a lot of Leon's struggles on him. I mean, Foxy's just put it there. Yeah, Matic and Orban, among others, Benrahma. They got a lot of players in January. They needed a bit more oomph, a bit more stability. Obviously, Matic being a really, really decent one. Orban, a really promising young striker. You can't blame it all on Cherki. He's a luxury attacking player who was 19 at the start of the season. It's not on him if Leon is struggling,
Yeah.
But this is one of those players, again, he is a luxury player. If he played for a team like us, he is going to lose the ball sometimes. He is going to fall over. There are going to be occasions where it doesn't work. And you've got, if you want players of that quality, they do that. Like that's part of it. If you want them to try and be risky and try and, this is one of those players where, so do you know how we do a lot of build up with passing sequences and patterns and very well drilled and practiced patterns of play? This is the kind of player where you don't need any of that. He can literally just pick the ball up and just go, oh my God, magical things happen. And then the ball's in the back of the net. No, there's not really anybody on our team that can do that. Maybe Bruno sometimes, but there's nobody in our team that can just wave a magic wand and go, goal. This guy can do that. Whereas the rest of our team, we have to play patterns and practice drilled shapes to get that chance. This guy can just do it. And I would love us to have at least one player on our squad that's magic. And this is the guy. There's
a couple of comments coming in, Billy, saying that, he could be another sort of a young Hatem Ben Arfa. We've seen him, a couple of links in the chat with Maxi. One thing we want from this player is kind of, I think if we went for somebody like Cherki, we'd want to see him as a brilliant dribbler like Maxi and a finisher like Ben Arfa.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he's 20. He's got lots of kind of room to maneuver into. He's got a massive high ceiling to what he can actually achieve in the game. He has got end product, as we've seen there. Yeah, he looks a fantastic player. He really is, and he's the kind of player that people would pay just to watch. One of them kind of players that you don't see many of them around these days. But Newcastle have been synonymous with them over the years.
Well, Cherki was linked. I think Julie put in the chat earlier. On the 5th of February, he was linked with Fulham. Now, all respect to Fulham, but I think if suddenly sort of Fulham declared an interest, and then suddenly Newcastle declared an interest, surely, I mean, again, I don't know where the players thinking, but you're talking about living in London again, and all these pundits who say about the London lights come a call, and it doesn't matter which club it is. However, Newcastle could probably offer him a lot more.
Well, I think this is one of those players where, I mean, this might not happen, but I think a good example is obviously one that I'll give us a really decent example because everybody knows Victor Gyökeres from Coventry went to Sporting, is now banging him in, is worth a butt ton of money. I feel like if Cherki's next move goes right, it's going to accelerate him. He's going to learn. He's going to light stuff up, and he's going to be unreachable. He'll be unattainable because it'll be too expensive. I think if it might not happen. There's no guarantees in football. There might be an attitude issue. He might not develop the right way. He might not develop the additional skill sets he needs to be a great player. It might go wrong, but he's got so much talent that I feel like it's worth a punt. And if whoever gets this right and can develop him, he could be an absolute superstar. But it is risky, but it's definitely possible.
Well, Andy Ford makes a good point. He says, do you think he lacks a defensive element to his game, knowing how Eddie wants to play? So absolutely. I've seen that a couple of times saying that, do you think he's an Eddie Howe kind of player? It's a good question to ask, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, defensive. But again, I make the point all the time that you don't want your wingers babysitting your fullbacks. And really, Trippier doesn't get caught out that much, and Livramento less so. So yeah, I guess it's less of a problem on the right-hand side as what it is on the left.
But eventually, we've got to let go of that idea, surely.
Of course we have. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I know that this guy isn't an elite winger right now. But
he's 20-year-old. I mean, God, he's still got a lot. He's raw, Alex, isn't he?
No, I get that. But eventually, we've got to let go of this notion because we've done really well playing as a team and with well-practiced sort of patterns of play and good defensive structure. But if you look at all the top teams in the world, if you take sort of like Liverpool, I don't think Salah's got like great defensive acumen. He doesn't track back an awful lot. You look at what other wingers you've got, like Vinicius Junior at Madrid, your Mbappe's, Doku's. If you go and list off a lot of these wide forwards in probably the top 10 teams in the world, if that's our aim, obviously we're going to have to progress into that at some point. We can't have 4 Anthony Gordons in the side. We need something different. And Anthony Gordon was a breath of fresh air in the England setup because he's probably the only proper decent out-and-out winger who was happy to just run at the touchline. Well, with Bowen, I guess, to a point. But sometimes you just need something different. And we can't just keep buying. I appreciate people didn't like Maxi or a lot of what Maxi did, but sometimes you need something different. You need a different key to unlock a different lock. We're going to need different skill sets.
Yeah, Wally's nowhere near his ceiling. He has yet nowhere near his prime. To say he's raw in a Minte style is not right. He's technically absolutely unbelievable at 20 years of age.
Yeah, he doesn't just give the ball away with a slip of a pass. The ball is forever glued to his foot.
Yeah, it's a good point. Niall says if we sell, say, Miggy, Sean and Wilson plus Fraser and Lewis, we don't need to sell our best players. Garant says I'd be happier with an out-and-out centre forward. I know, but we're building. If we're going to try and build a squad, then obviously a striker, definitely. I don't disagree with that at all. Tristan says, Paul, my family on my mum's side are from French descent. Sorry. My nan got me into Lyon ASAP. The kind of sign a lot of Algerians, Benzema, Rayan Cherki. They've developed a lot of talent. Bruno and Paqueta, of course, as well. Well, listen, we have a good. I guess we have a good relationship with Lyon, don't we? The players we've signed.
One recent signing, yeah. Gusto went as well. They just didn't reinvest the money properly at all. So really poor reinvestment. And that's why they got into trouble this season. They've managed to sort themselves out. But I would imagine at the end of this summer, they're going to need to, because I think that they have a massive issue. I think they've sold off the women's team as well, or the right to the women's.
Well, the women's team were doing brilliantly as well. They had a really strong.
I think they've been that off. I think it's been really poorly managed, really poorly run as a club. Lyon are not in a great place. So they, if they get a cheeky 20 to 30 million bid for a player like this, who's on the bench a lot of the time anyway, they might snap your hand.
You know what? It's time. I think it's time for Alex. When I get my new razzle dazzle laptop tomorrow, it is time for me to engage into Football Manager again and take Lyon back to the glory days. Yeah, but that for me, I think Lyon is the team that I should go for and bring them back. Knowing my incredible, diabolical record on Football Manager, something has to turn somewhere.
They've got no money, so good luck with that.
Well, absolutely, but that's what Football Manager editors for, Alex. So
I don't have the editor. That's cheating.
Well, it is it is a little bit, but just a little bit. No, I'd try and do that. Definitely. Right, who's next on the? So I take it's a yes from all of us. That one.
Yeah, every day and twice on a Sunday for me.
3 times on a Sunday.
Well, I mean, guys, let's not get into your sex lives. Let's just hammer on the next one.
Turkeys aren't just for Christmas.
How long have you been waiting to say that, Billy?
It just popped into me just now.
Okay. Right, yeah. Tristan says, good luck, Paul. It took me 2 seasons to get them back into Europe, and I play console now. It's harder. Oh, dear. Where do we start, says Greg? Goalkeeper, centre-back, centre defensive midfielder, right winger, and striker. It's a tough one if we don't have more than 200 mil to spend.
Manager on console is horrendous. It's like an automatic car that doesn't know when to change gear.
Yeah, it's terrible. Tom says, I've got the editor and the in-game editor. Well, that's just cheating, Tom. I'm not having that. Right, next player on the list tonight is Ousmane. You thought I was going to say Dembele, didn't you? You did. Diomande.
Indeed, Ousmane Diomande. So, Sporting. We return to Sporting. Of course, his compatriot, not compatriot, they're not from the same country, teammate, Antonio Silva, is Portuguese, not from the Ivory Coast. So we've done Antonio Silva before, who we've been linked with as well, but we're not doing him today. So very, very good centre halves coming through at Sporting. Sporting are top of the league as well. Sorry, that's I'm distracted by Paul. Is the Steve Bruce of Football Manager?
Yes, I was very upset by that, Brian. Normally, I think of you as a very astute man. That's gone. Carry on, Alex.
So young, athletic, strong, physical, reasonably decent passing centre half, 20 years old, who's playing most games for Sporting this season, and Sporting is doing really, really well. So Silva's Benfica, of course he is.
Is he left-footed, Alex?
I mean, it doesn't say. I can't even remember what foot he is. Let's have a look at his. It says he's right-footed.
Right.
So he generally plays. I mean, they're playing a front three. Who am I thinking of then? Who's the other?
Inacio.
Oh, of course, it's Inacio. I'm getting them mixed up. Inacio Diomande, not bloody Antonio Silva. Of course, he's Benfica. 1,600 minutes in the Portuguese league this season with 1 goal, 1 assist. It was a decent goal as well, with 1 goal in the Europa League. So he's got European experience as a 20-year-old. He did go to AFCON with the AFCON winning Côte d'Ivoire. He didn't play in the final. He played in some of the earlier games. There were a few who got in front of him. I think they played Indika was the starting left-sided centre-half. I can't remember who the other one was.
I think the Maccabi's a little bit drunk as well, guys. Good morning, all. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, look at the green. I mean, listen, when we put players up on the screen, if we say it looks like Antacid's loft, then we know he's a quality player. And there you go. Look at that, man.
But he's a centre half, and all the good green stuff's in the attacking stuff.
You're all right, Billy.
Well, yeah, but they are a very, very dominant team in their
side,
league.
Yeah.
They are top of the league. So, again, some of the decent things is probably going to be, we like his pass completion rate. 91% of passes is good. We always praise Sven Botman for high passing accuracy. Of course, we just need to get rid of the mistakes as well. High amount of progressive passes per 90 is lovely when a centre half can do some ball progression for you. It's something that we use as a weapon in our arsenal at the moment, with 1 progressive carry. So I felt like it was more than that. I've seen him play a few times, to be fair, this season, and I feel like he's quite good at stepping out and he can beat the press quite well. If people are pressing, so he's got a good sort of, he can shift his weight and just sort of step into midfield, a little bit like Botman does very occasionally. Take on rate is reasonable as well. Attacking stats, so shot creating actions is 1.2 per 90. Whether this is from long balls or from set pieces. He does like to have generally 1 crack per game as well, likely from set pieces being a centre half. But it's just about the ball progression that's really, really tidy. Again, you've got to remember this guy's 20-year-old centre half. This is really, really really tidy for such a young man.
80 million release clause, I believe he's got as well.
Well, it is based on 2,200 minutes as well. So it's not like this is flash in the pan data. This is over the course of the season. He's distributed all of this, and in the Europa League. So this is pretty spot on data. Obviously, you do have to remember that this is comparing him to the men's next 14 competitions. So not the top 5 leagues. So this will be data. So that ignore the green. It's a lie. The percentiles, this green bit, is comparing him against players in sort of the Belgian league, the Portuguese league, the MLS. So it'll be other sort of competitive leagues around Europe that are not in the top 5. It will be the
still green, Alex. Well. It's still green.
It's still positive, but you've got to, I've got to be fair with it.
Yep.
And then there you go. There's Gonçalo Inacio for Sporting. So you can see, look, it's not rating him against the top 5 leagues. So you've got what we got in here. Tigres.
Inacio's got a 52 million release clause as well, according to Peter.
There's some big release clauses in there.
I mean, who would you choose out the two of them?
Probably Inacio, because he's a lot cheaper. Even though Diamande's crazy athletic, he's pacey, physical, everything that we just don't have right now in that right hand side. I'd say you're playing where Fabian Schär plays.
Yeah.
It is just going to be crazy. I mean, Fox has just said the same thing. Great talent, ridiculous price. Yeah, he was at Midtjylland before. I mean, we're about to get to that bit, Foxy. Hang on a minute. Let me scroll down. That's the next bit. Oh, it's not on this bit. It's on.
Let me scroll down. It's on this next bit. It's not. It's on
this bit. It's on this bit. There you go. So he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. So Midtjylland picked him up from, I can't remember, what was it? What was their name again? I did have a look at these earlier.
Mafra, says it.
They are from Olympique Sport da Bobo. So that's where they picked him up.
Who?
It's them. That famous Ivory Coast team.
I thought it sounded a bit. I was going to say, is that who you've got off the Jamaican Observer there, Alex? OS Bobo.
Is it OS or DS? It looks like DS Bobo for me. It looks like
it's OS.
It's OS. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't even say what they paid for him officially. I don't even know. And then he went out on loan to Mafra, the Portuguese league. I'm guessing that's some in the lower leagues of Portugal. And then he got his £7.5, £8 million euros, whatever biscuits they've paid in, to go to Sporting. And then his market value has shot up. Is there a reference to his release clause? There is. So Transfermarkt say his release clause is 80, so it's on this site as well. So if it's on Transfermarkt, it's very plausible that it's true. Ivory Coast, he's capped 4 times. He was a little bit young. He's only kind of just broken into the Ivory Coast setup, so a little bit young to be playing all the way through that AFCON. But he did play through a lot of it. And I get the fact that he's African. He's going to have to go to AFCON. Yes, but do we have any African players currently in the squad? I don't think there's any at the moment. We used to have quite a few. So not anymore. So yeah, AFCON can go through silly phases of sometimes they play every year, which of course is a problem for some of the elite teams if you're losing 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. But it's just something you've got to deal with. At the moment, imagine if it was this year though, it would have absolutely hammered our depth. We were very lucky. Imagine throughout our injury crisis, if we'd have had a few go off to AFCON as well, that'd have destroyed us. But yeah, he's contracted until 2027. He is going to cost an arm and a leg. We haven't looked at his SOFA score yet. So 190. Again, I haven't really mentioned about his proper strengths, which I think is pace and physicality. It plugs a hole in the defense that we just don't have at the moment. Because Botman, although has a great skill set, isn't quite as athletic. And this is, it's a problem in our defense. We do need people who are a little bit quicker and a little bit more physical, and not just in the way that Botman is. There are different variations of it. So he's playing a lot of football this season. Europa League, in the actual main league in Portugal. He's playing in cups. He's playing for the Ivory Coast consistently. So he's getting a lot of minutes. Europa League games against sort of young boys. You've got Atalanta. So he's dropping okay ratings. He's not doing amazing. What we got? Most recent Europa League game is this one. They lost 2-1 to Sporting. And they lined up. So they lined up in a 3-4-2-1. So, of course, Jeremiah St. Just is a guy that we actually reviewed a couple of years ago or a year ago. I don't know if you remember him. So we actually reviewed him before he went to Sporting. And then they've got Ousmane Diomande as the central defender here. And then, of course, I'm just going to annoy Billy and say, look, Gokadesh is there with Marcus Edwards that nobody seems to realise exists. That guy, he's English. And Southgate doesn't know who he is. And I think...
Well, what a surprise.
He's really good. I like Marcus Edwards, but nobody knows who he is because he plays in Portugal and it's not fair. He would rather call up somebody from the Championship than play Marcus Edwards. I think he needs to cap him. It's a real shame.
But the fact of the matter is, hats off to Marcus Edwards for going out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Diomande. He's a 20-year-old, very young, talented centre-half who's broken through this season, playing a decent level of football. Again, AFCON could be an issue. Nice and fast, powerful, but there is an 80 mil release clause. So he will cost all of the biscuits. He will be very expensive.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got somebody like Inacio with a much lower release clause, 52 million compared to 80,
we could have reviewed Inacio today, but the fact that we've reviewed him about 2 other times, I just thought we'd do some variety.
Yeah. Billy, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's financial constraints would say would prevent us from signing him. However, he is looking at an excellent prospect, no doubt about it.
I guess you would take Inacio as well.
100%, yeah, very much so.
Well, I mean, look, I've been watching the chat, Alex, as you've gone through him, and a lot of people are saying the same thing. If Inacio's there at 52 million, a bit more experienced and a bit more sort of rugged as a player, I think a lot more people would go. But there is a lot of centre-backs out there who are going to be available. Very
different profiles, though. I'm pretty sure Inacio's left-footed, isn't the pacey athletic. It's different profile of player. Very, very different profile.
No, but if Botman's going to be out for practically a year, I mean, Inacio could be, you know, I mean, I know we're not even linked with him, but it just
Inacio's 6'1", left-footed, 22. Not quite as fast, but he's still amazing. Very different players.
Interesting. Right. Well, we'll quickly move on to the final player of the evening before we have a quick chat about the DOF, who nobody wants. Let's have a look. Our final player of this evening is Murillo, who is invisible, who doesn't have a face.
He is so very bad FBRF because he plays in the Premier League. He's the Forest centre-half. So I'm not sure how we're meant to say this because I don't speak Portuguese, but in Spanish, I would say Murillo Santiago Costa dos Santos. So that's his name.
Murillo Santiago Costa dos Santos. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Flying with names now, me.
So 21 years old, close to 22. Brazilian, centre-half, left-footed. He's a bit of a tank. You will have seen him this year because he plays for Forest. So you will have seen him on Match of the Days. You will have seen him if you've ever watched Forest play or one that we played against them as well. So 2,000 minutes in the league. And if we scroll down and have a look at the data, because he has no face, this is what he's profiling like in the Prem, which I think is quite good in a Forest team that's struggling somewhat. He's providing a lot of offensive support, a lot of clearances and blocks, which you would kind of expect. He could definitely do with improving that aerial win rate.
Alex, you have upset one of our Portuguese members.
I don't speak Portuguese.
Portuguese is not like Spanish. I feel insulted. Well, is it? I think it is.
It is. I mean, they're both Latin languages. So, I mean, if you want, I can just completely make it up, which I think would be even more offensive. So,
I mean, you've already insulted the Irish tonight. Why not go ahead and insult the Portuguese, Alex? I mean,
I like Portuguese. Well. I just don't speak it. I can understand it a little bit, but I don't. It just sounds like very odd Spanish to me.
Well, they speak Portuguese in Brazil, don't they? So
they do. Yeah, it's just slightly different. Brazilian Portuguese. So anyway, Murillo, however we meant to say that in Portuguese. I mean, I tell you what. Why don't you, Albituga? Why don't you give us a little guide on how to say his name properly and give us the phonetics. How do we say his name?
I think it's Albituga, Alex, not Albituga.
So successful take on rate and carries are decent. So this is a nice little stat to suggest he can progress the ball into midfield sometimes, at least once a game. You could do with that from your centre halves. You could do with them stepping into midfield and beating the press, which is always nice to see. There's not really too much on here to shout about, but a lot of people, how is it? Murillo. Is that not what I said? I mean, it's close. Application at the UN. Well, yeah. So let's go and have a look at who he profiles like, because this will give us a better idea, because this is against the top 5 leagues. So some weird comparisons on this list, but you've got to remember the kind of year that Forest are having. So this guy's 21, remember, and he's having to play a lot of panic ball.
Look at the names. I mean, Brendan Chardonnay, Matthias Wiecka, Julian Chabot. Phil, what's that? Falikandi at Metz. I mean, I know it's not pronounced like that, but it does look like Falikandi. There's some interesting names on there, Alex.
I used to know a bloke called Falikandi. He had a terrible haircut, very mushroom-like.
Anyway, Ben Mee's on the list, and he's a good player. Mateusz Wiateska at Cagliari. I haven't seen him play, but you got Nathan Collins, who we do see play at Brentford. So you got 2 Brentford players. You can kind of get the gist of this guy in that he is having to put fires out because it's Forest. He's definitely got a bit more in his locker technically. You can see that. A lot of people consider him to be having a really, really good season at Forest. There are links with him to Arsenal and other clubs. So the fact that he's got those links is definitely testament to how good he is. If we scroll down and have a look at his career to date, Corinthians. So he got 13 starts for Corinthians at senior level as a 20-year-old, and then Forest picked him up. And then let's go and have a look at his transfer marks, which I don't have loaded yet because I am super prepared.
Of course.
There he is. I don't want to have too much open because then you guys can just see everything. So 184 centre half. So I think he's taller than 5'10". I think they're shortchanging him on height. I think he definitely clears 6 foot. There's no way he doesn't clear 6 foot. Again, I don't want a centre half in my team that's not at least 6 foot. I feel like I don't care if you're the world's best centre half. If you're under 6 foot, you're not in my team. I'm sorry. You have to be 6 foot plus.
Right. Now you've been sizest, Alex. I mean, you need to be careful Absolutely. Where you're going tonight, mate. I mean, you know, wow, Liam likes your crack, Billy. Wow. I don't know how he's seen that before.
Is there a mirror behind me?
Interesting. That's what Katie Price used to say. Jesus. Yes, carry on, Alex, please. Let's move on very quickly.
Anyway, I don't see how we get him because he's contracted until 2028. So the only way I see this happening is relegation, and toys are thrown out of prams, dummies are spat on floors, and he's going to be one of that has to go for them to sort of sort their finances out. He's only rated at 25, which I think is nonsense. I think if any big team bids for this guy, I think they say 40 or go fish, in my opinion. If you bid, like, let's say the January transfer window just gone, if you bid sort of 30, 35, they laugh you out the door immediately. I know he's only just joined, to be fair, but yeah, I can't see anybody getting this guy for super cheap unless he gets unless they get relegated. It might be an option. I think it's an interesting option to look into. It's very possible.
I don't know how I feel about him, to be honest. I think there's
what are your concerns? What are you not liking with him?
I'm not. I tell you what, Alex. When you go through
Forest.
Well, no, but when you go through your players, we watch and we go through the stats and everything, and you know how you get a feel. You get a feel for a player. And I'm just not getting it with this guy.
This is why I mentioned, though, he's got more to his game that's visibly obvious when you watch him. He's having to play a certain way because it's Forest. He's having to put fires out a lot. Yeah. He's playing a certain way, and it's a little bit restrictive. Yeah. He's still very young as well and can learn a lot, and he's got some reasonably good technical ability.
Jamstasher says, "Oh my God, as someone who's 5'11", I'm offended by Alex's under 6 foot comment." Well, don't worry. I mean,
Alex, I won't pick you for my team. It's fine.
Alex has been.
You can play left back. Oh no, hang on. We need really tall left backs as well, don't we? Oh God.
Yeah, but Alex has been sizes coming from a man that's 5'2", guys. So make of that what you will. Stephen says,
I wouldn't be a centre half either. I'm far too small to be a centre half.
5'9.5". Yeah. And my gentleman's sausage is 20 inches long. Stephen says he's not physical enough, in my opinion, and too short, like Alex said.
I don't think he's quite physical.
He's very physical. He's a bit. I'm going to bring the word back. He's a bit of a chunk. He is physical
and quick. He played really well against us on 2 occasions as well. More so at St James's. He was outstanding at St James's.
Well, we may as well cut into this section before we talk about the DOF. Not that one. Will you stop putting comments on when I'm trying to press buttons, Alex? Daniil is asking what is on the next Patreon podcast, guys. Do you have anything coming up soon?
There are a few transfer shows that we will be recording. Billy, have you got any historical podcasts coming up?
Yeah, the next historical one will be about Frank Clark, which will be coming up in the next week or so.
So we have got a few transfer shows as well for the Patreon, as we there's not enough days in the week to cover everyone on live shows here on YouTube. So with the giant list of players we've been linked to, we will do the additional ones on Patreon. So there are some juicy ones that have been saved up for there as well. Yeah. But of course, we will do those if they continue to be linked. Yeah, if you want to hear the additional ones, check out the Patreon.
Yeah, well, it's only £5 a month. It really, really does help the channel if you become a patron of the Toon Review. That link is pinned down in the description. Somewhere in there is the link. So just go and click on it. Go and have a look, see what you think. There's plenty on there at the minute as well for Legends stuff, match reactions, and transfer dives and things like that. So yeah, a lot to be listened to over on the Patreon podcasts. So do please go and take a look at that. Right, couple of minutes left, Alex. Do you want to enlighten us on this this DOF that nobody's getting excited about?
Yeah. So what's his name again?
Rui Pedro Braz.
That's the one, Rui Pedro Braz. So Benfica sporting director.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are a little bit funny. Oh, I haven't. You want his face? Hang on. We've got.
Oh.
I've got Google images of him. If that counts.
Yeah. Why not?
This is the guy. Apparently. So he was a pundit for a long time, like 10 years for a Portuguese network. And
he looks very much like somebody, and I can't put my finger on it, to be honest. Anyway,
I have no idea. Yeah, so there's not really a lot on him apart from he was linked to Tottenham a year ago. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of articles about him potentially going to Tottenham last year in 2023. And then there's been a lot of basically, I don't know who did the first article, so I'm sorry whoever I'm offending. I'm offending everyone tonight, so I might as well just go for it. It's basically the same article's been regurgitated about 15 times across the internet, and Billy's read a few as well and concurs with me on that. So the Chronicle did one, and then a lot of other ones are very similar to the Chronicle one. So I don't know who unless there's just not much to go on and they're all writing the same thing. It's probably just his limited data on him. So yeah, his tenure there, it seems to be quite famous for the outgoings of Nunez and Enzo Fernandez, big money sales. Yeah, there's been a bit of criticism on him recently about the structure of the academy and youth prospects coming through and youth recruitment and recruitment generally, considering there's such high expectations there. If I take you to FOTMob, you can actually see the squad. So I know the squad fairly well on for Benfica because I've played them on Football Manager a little bit this year. So gaming sometimes helps. And I kind of get that sentiment. I'm not as impressed by the Benfica setup as I used to be, especially in terms of the depth in quality and the youngsters coming through. Of course, you've got Antonio Silva there, who's the young centre half. You've got Juan Bernat, who's been around for quite a long time. You've got Otamendi that everybody knows. So the midfielders are really, really tidy. With João Neves and Florentino Luis, obviously we've been linked with Florentino Luis a couple of times. He's been linked to Man United. So these two really, really solid. Rafa Silva is out of contract in the summer. He's been around for a long time as well. I think he's about 30. And then up front,
if he's 30, Di Maria must be about 64 then.
Well, Di Maria's 35 now at least. So again, you've got a lot of aging players on the books, a lot of players out of contract. Arthur Cabral is the main guy up top. João Mario is still floating around. Marcos Leonardo, of course, is a guy that we did on a transfer show not that long ago. He was gone to Benfica. You've got David Neres, who obviously disappeared and went to play in the Ukraine, and then everything went wrong, and then he's come back to Europe. I just find it very mishmashy, and maybe that's my opinion because obviously they are second in the Portuguese league. And one of the reasons why that was one of the reasons why we had the Portuguese guy up. I don't know if you want to put it back on in a second, Paul, because I like some of their recruitment.
Well, just while you're doing that, Alex, Rufiad Benician is pulling you up on your 6 foot comment. Carlos Puyol was only 5'10". And so was the late great Bobby Moore.
There's been lots of centre halves, under 6 foot that've been really good over the years, but generally they are over 6 foot, aren't they?
Generally, yeah. I mean, of course, you get exceptions, but in 2024 in the Premier League, especially with the current profile of centre forwards coming through, it's tough. So I just want to bring people's attention to this because there's been a lot of criticism over youth recruitment from Benfica, but they have just got this guy, Andreas Schelderup, who's gone straight out on loan to Nordsjælland, if that's how you say it.
He is my arse cheeks, 19 years of age.
He's crazy highly rated.
I mean, come on.
Really highly rated. So he's at Benfica till 2028. He's gone out on loan.
My 12-year-old son looks older than him.
I mean, how old is he? 19. He was born in 2004. God, that makes me feel old.
But he looks like he's sort of a 10-year-old kid playing in his school team. By the way, Fabio Cannavaro was only 5'10" as well.
Yeah, all right. I've probably been disproven. But yeah, I mean, Foxy's echoing my comments here. I mean, I don't know if we want to get rid of that, but Foxy's echoed my comments about recent recruitment. Yeah, Marcos Leonardo. You've got Shelder up, who I highly rate as well. I like some of the signings coming through. Again, they're only recent though. And I think this Benfica side is going to need a lot of fixing in the next 6 months to 18, because Di Maria is not a long-term option. Rafa is going to go. They're going to need to do. And what if they lose some as well? If Antonio Silva gets picked up, this side's going to change a lot. And the midfield is nice with Florentino Luis and stuff that they've got. And yeah, this is the structure that he's created. And beyond the current Benfica squad recruitment and youth stuff in the last couple of years, that's all I've got to go on based on this new guy. And I've kind of forgotten his name. What's his name? Braz. That's all I know about him, because I know more about Benfica than I do him. But
give me Paul Mitchell any day of the week. Yeah, honestly, I mean,
he seems better than some of the options. It's an interest, but again, he's Portuguese, so he's going to know. Is he going to be able to put that into an English setup? It's a bit a difficult crossover, I'd say.
Look at that name, Rollheiser. It sounds like a German colonel.
He's Argentinian, and lots of. Let me just say that.
That's not.
After the war, they kind of went that way.
A few of them took a holiday to Argentina, didn't they, Billy? Yes,
they did indeed.
Which we won't get into. Franco Baresi was 5'9", says Nick. Well, I mean, you've been shut down, I think, Alex. More than
I'm just saying that I wouldn't have
Cruise in Top Gun.
I wouldn't have a centre half under 6 foot unless they could prove that they can compensate for. You've got like Alessandro Martinez that gets outed. His aerial win rate is actually fine. It's he sometimes falls asleep positionally, which is nothing to do with his height. It's just his concentration. So his issue is his concentration. His height doesn't hinder his centre half ability. So yeah, of course there are exceptions, but as a general rule of thumb, especially in lower league, just get yourself a big centre half, honestly.
Yeah. Mitchell for me. But there you go, guys. That is the transfer show done and dusted for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, 7:15 p.m. tomorrow night, we have Matchday Live again, England versus Belgium. And that's commentary from Billy and Alex. Wednesday night, me and Sam are back at 7 p.m. with How Are the Lasses, where we'll be going through the unfortunate cup final defeat, but what it means for Newcastle women and the team moving forward. We'll take a look at the upcoming fixtures as well. And there's only 4 left. So I think it's now about finishing the league strongly and getting promotion, of course, to the Championship, which is 1 division away from the WSL. Thursday night, of course, is the preview for the West Ham game. TTR Friday is back again on Friday, and of course Matchday Live on Saturday. So plenty to get your teeth into. There'll be some other videos coming, no doubt, with myself, with news videos, etc., and of course Eddie's press conference. But that is it for now. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you to the mods. Thank you, Billy and Alex. But thank you to you guys out there. Well over 800 watching. Brilliant crew in again tonight. Thank you very much for watching. And we will see you, well, Alex and Billy will see you tomorrow night for Matchday Live. Don't miss it. Good crack, good commentary, and honest opinions on some of the England players. But until then, good night.
Southgate out.
Come back and check out some green. Show